What up, dudes? It's Gaz, and welcome back to another Warframe video. Today, at long last, we have Nidus Prime. One of my old favorites. He's primed up and ready to go. So we're going to be showing you how his abilities work if you don't know how he works. Go over some details. We're also going to go over some synergies and compare him to normal Nidus. Because this build we have today is basically red crit mode. We've also got some special synergies with Infested Pistol. That makes things even stupider than usual. Alright, so before we get into it, make sure you're subbed and all that. And let's go over Nidus Prime versus Nidus Normal. This will basically be a overview of all things Nidus, or nearly all things Nidus. So, looking at the Prime versus the Normal, there's some things you want to keep in mind. Yeah, he's got like 50 more armor, 25 more health, and all that kind of stuff. But when Nidus is fully leveled up, he actually gets a bonus, an additional like built-in bonus to his health and armor. So the stats you see right here where it's like we get 50 more armor, 25 more energy, and 25 more health, that actually extends further. When you are fully leveled up, the difference between Nidus Prime and Nidus Normal, as far as health, and keep in mind this gets increased by mods as well, Nidus Prime will have 525 health at max level, when normal Nidus will have 450. Nidus Prime will have 188 energy versus Nidus Normal having 150, and as far as armor, he will have 525 armor versus 450 on the highest version. So like basically when you fully level up, let's just show right here what we're talking about. Nidus is unique in this effect where he gets a bunch of extra stuff when he's maxed out. So like I said, 50% armor, 50% energy max, 15% heal rate, which is his built-in passive of healing, 20% health, and 15% power strength. So even with no mods on the build, he has 115% power strength. Just that's how Nidus is, apparently. They decided to make him cooler than everyone else. All right, so that's the comparisons between the normal and the Prime version. And by the way, Nidus Prime is MR0 required. I'd recommend if you are looking for a good solo frame or a good like reliable frame as a new player, you might want to get your hands on Nidus Prime because he's really easy to get. And yeah, MR0. All right, let's go over these abilities. Like I said, he has built-in health regen. I think it's about like 13 health regen per second. He's also got the passive where he's got these stack things on the side of the screen. If you have 15 of those stacks and you die, you actually don't actually die. You go into undying mode and become invincible for a couple seconds and restores 50% of your health. That lets you build up more stacks. You can basically be immortal if you're hitting enough enemies with your 1, which is your 1 is what will mostly build up your stacks. Let's show how that works right here. So see right here, these little stacks over here, there's 5 little parts in the circle. Once you hit 5 enemies with your 1, or if you kill enemies in your 2, you can actually get a stack. And getting stacks unlocks, further abilities that he has. So like, as you'll notice right here, my 3rd ability, the Parasitic Link, and the 4th ability, Ravenous, cannot actually be cast until I have a stack. Because I have full energy, I can't cast them. So, hitting these guys, there's 4 enemies in this row, so I got 4 portions of the circle filled in. If I were to hit one more enemy with one of my abilities, now I have that circle filled in. I've gone to 1. That's 1 stack. The more stacks you have, you can go up to 100 without the special augment that lets you have more. The more stacks you have, the more damage this first ability does, and the more you can cast different abilities. So like now that I'm at 2, I can use my 3rd ability, which costs 1 stack, to link to an enemy. That enemy is now going to make me more tanky. I take less damage. I take 9% less damage with enough power strength. And also, now that this guy's linked, he's now my infested launcher dude. An infested stomp comes out of him as well to let me build even more stacks easily. So that's very, very good right there. Look how fast we're building stacks now that we have 2 instances of our 1. Now that we've got over 3 stacks, we can cast our 4th ability, which will create an infested zone on the ground, which has custom ability effects for the Prime version, these little infested pillars. And we've also got our little maggot squad going out and grabbing the enemies. They'll stun the enemies. If you were to stomp them with your 1, when a maggot's on the enemy, they will explode, giving you even more stacks. So that's pretty much the general gist of Nidus. His 2nd ability will actually group enemies up. It's called Larva. So grab them all together, stomp them. Look how many stacks we're going to get from that stomp right there. So that's the idea. Now that we're at above 15, if we were to die, we would just go to an undying state and not actually die. But if you're building Nidus properly, you're probably not going to die for a very long time. The stacks just keep going up. You can actually, like, I think, escape to like, let it actually snapshot where you're at. Maybe it's a Nightwave button. Something like that. Oh, we got some Kuva. We got some Kuva for doing some Nightwave challenges. All right, the stacks are almost up there. It might be Operator that lets you, yeah, Operator is the one what it is. Okay, so use Operator, it will show you where you're at. So like if you just don't want to see it keep going up and up, just press the Operator button. All right, so that's the general gist of it. Is basically his 4 is a healing area. that creates maggots that could help you build stacks. His 3 is a link that if you link to an enemy, it makes you more tanky, lets you get more stacks easily. His 2 is a grouping tool that lets you just build stacks easier. Keep in mind, an enemy that dies in the 2 has a 50% chance to give you a stack as well. So it's pretty easy to come by stacks with this guy. So here's another thing. If you were to link to an enemy, it makes you tanky. If you're to link to an ally, like an ally player, if you're playing a multiplayer, it will give you and them increased power strength, which lets you do some really crazy stuff that we'll go over in a future video this week. All right, let's go over the build for Nidus, and we'll talk about what this high power build is going to be offering you. Let's also get into some gameplay of the Steel Path, because this is where the tanky enemies hang out. And we're going to talk about some ability synergies and weapon synergies here. All right, so as far as Nidus, he has no shield. So if you cannot really use shield getting on him at all, you want to build for armor, health, and power strength, pretty much is how I usually build Nidus. He also really likes range, because like I was showing right there, with his second ability, pulling enemies together, that's really good with increased range, pulling enemies from across the room into one spot, making them very easy to melee, making them very easy to shoot with the primary, etc., etc. So I like range on him. Power strength is not super necessary, but for certain mods that we're running in this video today, power strength actually helps a lot. So the build right here is going to be a double Umbra Forma build with a Aura Forma in the Aura slot as well. So this will let us run any Aura mod that we want without really caring about which polarity it is. We're using Combat Discipline to reliably proc Arcane Avenger, which is also an arcane, which will give you increased crit chance for all weapons by additive 45% for 12 seconds. So also we got Arcane Grace, as he's all health. This helps you like get your health back. He has 13 health regen per second, I think it is. This helps you get even more. This Arcane Grace is a flex slot. It's whatever you really like. If you like more armor, this will help you have like more EHP technically. If you want to use Arcane Energize, I don't really recommend Arcane Energize on Nidus because of a special mechanic of his 1. We'll talk about that in a little bit here. There's other, like, it's really whatever you want to do. You want more DPS, go with Arcane Acceleration for increased primary fire rate. It's up to you. Grace is just nice and lazy, and you can be very lazy as Nidus. All right, going over the build we have here. So, this one is for Arcane Avenger to easily proc it. We don't have Prime Sure-Footed in this top slot. This mod, you have to sign into the game 400 days to get this, but it makes you immune to knockdowns, even from your AoE explosion weapons. We're not running this on Nidus because when you are linked with his third ability, Parasitic Link, you're immune to knockdowns, so we don't even need to run that mod. We can actually get some more ability stats from Cunning Drift in this Exilus slot. If you don't want to run Cunning Drift, there's also Power Drift for increased power strength or other things like that. I think range is pretty important on him, though, so we're going to go with that. We've got Blind Rage. So now, remember how I was talking about how you don't really want to run Arcane Energize on Nidus? That's because with lower efficiency, his first ability actually gives you energy refund on hit. Look at that. 14 energy regen on hit. If you have higher efficiency, you get less power strength per enemy hit. So as long as you can reliably hit many enemies with your 1, you have infinite energy with Nidus. That's why you can go into negative efficiency. Negative efficiency is actually a good thing in some situations, hilariously. I would not recommend running efficiency on Nidus for this build, at least. And high power strength lets us run this augment mod right here, Teaming Virulence. Hitting 4 enemies with your 1 will give you increased primary crit chance for 15 seconds. That primary crit chance increase scales with power strength. So if we have all this power strength on here, from Blind Rage and whatever, we have 316% increased crit chance, letting us get red crits with our primaries somewhat reliably. And as far as the Umbra mods, we've got Umbra Fiber for increased armor. So we've got about 1,100 armor right here, almost 1,200, giving us 80% reduced damage to our health. And since we're all health, that goes a long way, especially for the built-in health regen. Umbra Intensify makes the set bonus of these better. So if we were to take off Umbra Intensify, we lose armor, we lose health, we even lose a bunch of power strength because it's an Umbra mod set. You want to make sure you have, if you're running the Umbra mods, at least run, in some situations you want to run all 3, but Umbra Intensify is just a better Intensify sometimes, so I could see you maybe not running it as a set bonus, but overall we're running all 3, I think it's valuable. Umbra Vitality, not even maxed out, we're having about 1,600 health. If you were to max this out, it'd be about 1,800 health. Adaptation, giving you increased damage or distance when you get shot, depending on what enemy shot you, what damage type it was. So this lets you just stack up more damage reduction. The third ability, like I said, 9% damage reduction. With 180% strength, you get 90%. So 90, 90, and then the armor as well. Keep in mind, they did nerf how damage reduction works in the Sister Parvos update, so it's not actually like complete damage immunity, but you are still like pretty tanky. I mean, the enemies on the Steel Path right now can hardly even deal like 10 damage to me. When all my stuff, I don't even have link up right now. We're hardly taking any damage. So when I get linked, I'm pretty much invincible. So that's a really good thing. Now this is very, very good for the Steel Path. But if your teammates are taking your your stacks, it can make it harder to keep your abilities maintained. So he's more of a solo frame, but he can still do some buffing. Like I said, if you link to your teammates, you're going to get some crazy, power strength bonuses. All right, let's go over some weapon synergies here. We're going to talk about the Zymos, and we're talking about the Kuva Brahma. Now, those are some of the weapons I think are the best on Nidus, because with this Teaming Virulence build, we're actually going to be going for red crits with no crit chance Riven. So, since we're stacking so much crit chance, we've got 316 here, and then another add of 45 here. Putting that all together makes things get a little bit nutso with the weapons. So, here's a Kuva Brahma build right here. If you don't have a multi-shot Riven, just go with Vigilante Armaments in that slot for increased multi-shot. And it's a viral HM build. So since we have all this extra crit chance, it makes this thing hit really hard. I don't like to run critical delay on the bows because it's negative 40% fire rate on bows, but that technically would give you a little bit more crit chance as well. I'm not going to go for that though. All right, so this Kuva Brahma build with Nidus is going to make it so you AoE kill the whole room very easily. And the Zymos, which is a unique infested pistol from Deimos, actually releases an evil infested bee swarm when you shoot an enemy in the head that is just chilling there. And since Nidus' third ability stuns the enemy in place, it makes it very easy to just chain headshots into the enemy and release the bee swarm all over the place. So let's quickly show that. So let's build up one stack. Now that she is stuck there, look at this with the Zymos. I can release all the bees I want, and this enemy would normally be dead if I was not, if I did not stun them like this. Once Arcane Avenger procs, it actually applies twice. Now look at the red crits are coming out now. Red crits with the bee swarm, and if they're far enough away, they take guaranteed impact procs, which is pretty good with hemorrhage, giving you a good amount of slash procs as well. So you can just spam that a lot with Nidus. He might also works on Zaku and I think some other frames too. But Nidus is it's very easy with Nidus because you're just completely tanky while you're actually doing that. So that's pretty good. Let's show the Kuva Brahma real quick. All right, and we've also got the infested Panzer left for giving us viral procs in the area. Because I thought it was thematically pretty appropriate with Nidus as he is infested with an infested pet. So no Riven. I mean, pretty good. That's no Galvanized stacks, so let's get some Galvanized stacks stacked up here. And now it's like AoE red crit the room with no Riven. And pretty juicy. Like, you might, if you're not linked, you're just going to fall over and look like a dum-dum. But you probably won't die anyway unless you're at like level 1000. Alright, so those are the main weapons I'd recommend to you. Like, we have the Furax Wraith equipped here with Amalgam Furax body count. This does not work on the Kuva Brahma, because it only works on specialized launchers. The Kuva Brahma is a bow, not a launcher, so if you want to utilize Furax Wraith, then you go with the Kuva Tonkor, the Kuva Tsar. Kuva Tsar is pretty good. I just get kind of annoyed reloading it all the time. So something like this would be great for the Grenier, giving us increased, AoE and all that kind of stuff. You could definitely make this work as well. And you can get very high crit potential with the Kuva Tsar. As far as melees, I don't really use melee as much anymore ever since they made the Galvanized mods, but you can still use it. I'd probably say go for like a heavy attack build maybe, or just link to an enemy and then just do light attack spam. That's also something you could do. Keep in mind the link range is affected by range, so if you go too far away, it pulls the link off, and you lose all your buffs that you got from that guy. But it's very easy to just, if you have another stack, to just get it back again. So now that we've got the Galvanized mod stacked up, let's see how this is looking. Pretty decent, I'd say. I mean, that was complete devastation, and the shotgun mode will be even red critting very reliably, as the shotgun mode on the Tsar actually has higher crit chance than the explosion shot. So, is this pretty good? I mean, it looks pretty good to me. I mean, this is, I did go over the abilities for quite a bit of time here, but this is pretty powerful, honestly. If you want to have an easy steel path frame, I mean, I'm literally just like tabbed out right here, seeing if they can even hurt me. I don't even take 10 damage, basically. I mean, yeah, this is with no Arcane Grace either. The enemies can't kill you with this build, so yeah. Keep in mind, they did nerf the shock. If you watch the Shock Absorber's video from a couple months ago, that no longer works. You can no longer be immune to damage, but as you can see right here on the steel path, I'm not even linked right now, and I'm not even taking that much damage. So he's still really, really tanky, but he's not invincible, like literally invincible compared to before. But the enemies were dealing 0 damage to me, so yeah. I'd say go out and get Nidus Prime. He's MR0. You literally can get... He's easier to farm than normal Nidus, because normal Nidus comes from Infested Salvage, which is kind of an annoying game mode, but Nidus Prime comes from Relics, and everyone's running Relics, so yeah, go get him, dude. Hopefully you guys found this video helpful. I'm trying to think if I forgot anything. There's definitely... Nidus is a very in-depth frame, but there's... he's definitely worth checking out. Armor armor stacking, it's not. I wish, honestly, we are probably going to have a video in the future about a armor rework potential idea that I have. That I think armor could use a buff, honestly, because like I said, he eventually gets to like the point where you are getting one shot even with all this DR at like level like 2,000, 1,000, whatever it is. Armor could use a rework, and we'll talk about that in the future. But for like normal content, even like Hour in the Steel Path, Nidus is the homie. You ain't gonna die on Nidus, and if you do, you got plenty of stacks to come back to life. So, all right, guys, take it easy and peace.